Hey, good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1112, 1112. Happy 1112 Monday morning, the 19th of February. We've got an extra day this month. It's a leap year. Only 10 more days left of February. We had a renewed winter after our first false spring, which I believe we have a second fall spring this week. So we had winter for a couple days where it was like, damn, it's cold. We haven't had that much like cold winter. It's been a very mild winter. Yesterday morning, going to talk Janesville Card Show. Yesterday morning was freezing ass cold. Windy, it's cold. I get out of the card show and it's like, man, it's kind of warm. My car said it was 50, but I don't think that was. I think it was because it was in the sun, maybe. And it ended up being like 46, but still 46. It was like 17 on my drive to the show. This is the wacky Wisconsin weather we get. So, hey, I was happy. I was happy with the weather. I was happy with the card show. I was happy with my buying, my selling. Even made a trade yesterday. What a day. Janesville, Wisconsin. Coming up this Saturday is the Madison Card Show. Do I have a banner? I should probably edit this. Is Saturday, February 24th. This Saturday at the Sheraton Hotel. At least 135 dealer tables. I'm working to secure the third ballroom. There's a hitch in the plans. They don't have any tables, which is fine. I can resort to asking some dealers to bring their own, and I can go out and buy even more tables. The hitch, though, is I don't know if they're open to that. The third ballroom there's some things in there that they're pretty like guarded with. So that's kind of the hitch in getting that third ballroom. So I've got to follow up and hopefully work out some details today about this weekend's show. So at least 135 dealer tables sold out right now, oversold. So going to be a good one this Saturday. Today though, we're going to talk about Janesville, which was yesterday. It was an amazing show. Saturday I just shipped and I had to get ready for, I still have, this is the problem of taking a day, even a weekend day off from shipping. I am nearly 400 orders to ship, 386 when I just checked. Orders to ship, not cards, orders. So I'm going to be slammed today. That's part of the reason why. Am I going to be able to do a sale Thursday night? I think so. We should be able to get out from the buried. By the way, speaking of shipping, today is a holiday. It's a postal holiday, so there is no mail today. Somebody mentioned in the chat, sports card ripping teacher. It is President's Day. Happy President's Day. So no mail days for you. No mail days. You also get, so fortunately it comes at a great time. It gives me an extra handling day on eBay. So no shipping today. Well, no mail today. There is shipping today, just no mail. So that's what I did Saturday, prepared for the Janesville Card Show. Did dime boxes. I'll tell you how those went. That's about it. That's what I did on Saturday. Sorted, shipped, sorted, shipped. This week, probably more of the same. I've got to add some listing in there. I'm going to tell you what I bought. I brought home about 50,000 cards. So Thursday night sale, I did as I was, the good thing about getting ready for a card show is it can be a good multitasking event, which it was. So I was preparing my dime boxes because I didn't want to, sometimes my quarter boxes are pretty loaded, and it's like I don't want to give this stuff away for a dime, which I put a lot out and I didn't sell a lot of like I had a lot of transactions, but I didn't sell many cards, which was good because I didn't want to sell a lot of the cards I had in there for a dime. I had like 3 boxes of First Bowman and First Bowman Chrome, and it's like I don't want to sell these for a dime. So I'm sure some of them did sell, but it allowed me to pull refractors and serial numbers and colors. So I didn't think I would get to 1,000. I did. So I will have. I might actually have a box of color and refractors, like a normal box that like 1,300 cards. I think I'm at 1,100. Now what I bought yesterday, that will probably just go into a future sale. So we'll have some good sales. The non-sport box is going to be even better. The packs that I bought from that Facebook group, not scheduled to be delivered until like Wednesday. So hopefully those come in time. But it probably won't be as in-depth of a sale as 2 weeks ago, where we did, what did I do? 15 of the flat rate boxes. I'm not going to have 15. It's probably going to be a smaller sale, but we'll do refractors. We'll do a modern baseball, probably a mishmash baseball, a football, and then I've got autograph lots, and then I've got a couple flat rate boxes of just random stuff. So probably keep it smaller than the last sale, just based on the time that I'm working with. Just still trying to get unburied from shipping here early in the week, and then later in the week getting prepared for this Saturday and the Madison Card Show. So as I was sorting on Saturday night, though, my wife's friend from college came. So they did the girl things, and I hung out down in the basement sorting, and wanted to put a movie on. So I'm like, I'm gonna watch a movie as I sort. And I turned on, and I think this was it might have been in the theaters, but it wasn't available, at least at release. It wasn't available on any of the streaming platforms I have. But now it is on, I believe, Netflix, and it's the movie Thanksgiving, which sounds like a happy. No, it's not a happy. It's actually really gory, which I don't like gore. Like disgusting. Like, what the fuck? That's what the movie Thanksgiving is, dropping those F-bombs. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is disgusting. I did look away. Like, I don't do gore. Like, I'll look away. I don't like hospital shows. I don't even like vet shows where they're pulling like out of Biscuit had that shit in her ear. Like, ugh. At least I can do that. Like Dr. Pimple Popper, like it's disgusting, but I don't have to look like blood and gore, like surgeries. I can't watch that. Remember, I don't change my own oil. I'm not a tough guy. So I have to look away on the gore. But Thanksgiving, it was actually the movie, like the plot was actually pretty good. Like it was entertaining despite the gore. Now I can't even remember, and I won't share who the killer was, but now, because it's one of those movies, it's kind of like Scream, where it keeps you on your like, who is it? And like they allude to, now I do remember. And it was a total swerve at the end. I was not expecting the killer to be, but if you go back, if once you know and you go back and watch it again, there are clues. But they lead you down other paths, and it's like, it's totally going to be this guy. And then they're like, oh no. And you're like, no, it's going to be this guy. And then you're like, wait, maybe it's a woman. And then all of a sudden at the end, it's like Boom. They set it up. It was well done. It was written well. I like the plot. Don't like the... Joe says it was brutal. Loved it. Very graphic. It was very graphic. It was... Ugh. So, Thanksgiving. If you're into that, check it out. Let's go to the chat. Dave Richards in the house. What's up? Good morning. Happy Monday. Good morning, Michael Renicky. Missed you yesterday. We're going to miss you this Saturday. Ryan Sells in the house. Good morning. Red Light 34 is here. What's happening? Donald Davis. Good morning. Boston Smoke is here. What's up? Steel Cards. Good morning. He had a great weekend of selling. My selling was certainly down from where it was Wednesday, Thursday, and into Friday, but my sales graph just goes like this, which I fully expected because the first day was going to be, and then the second day was going to be much higher than normal, but still much lower than the day before, so on and so forth. But I'm still treading above what my daily goals are. Oh, looks like I got another negative feedback. Uh-oh. And the negative feedback reads, great looking card as advertised. Okay, I'm going to have to, Ronnie Dio. Great band. Rainbow in the Dark. Holy Diver. I'll have to give Ronnie James a message and be like, hey man, can you change this feedback? So yeah, so it looks like I did better than the average with what I picked up this weekend. If I get them listed, I should go into to baseball season on a pretty good momentum. Philly Joe, what's up? Good morning. Mikey's in the house. Hey, speaking of card shows, Mikey had his card show in Peru, Indiana at the Circus, and it sounds like if you're in the Hobby Evolution Facebook group, Mikey had given us an update this weekend on the show, and he picked up a big card. Babe Ruth big. So if you're not in the Facebook group, check it out. Type in Hobby Evolution on Facebook, and you'll find that. So congrats to Mikey and a great card show at the Circus in Peru. Christian, good morning. Orlando's in the house. What's up? Happy President's Day. No mail. Reminder, no mail today. Kyle, good morning. Looks like you found some awesome vintage at Janesville. I'm gonna share the story, because it also I actually didn't even know that by the vintage that I'm gonna talk about today, I didn't even know it was a part of what I bought, and that's just, it's kind of one of those nice little happy surprises. Red Light says 480. Damn. Yeah, it was, it's a lot of shipments. 380, almost 400, 386, I think. Red Light offering up some help if he was closer. Brian, good morning. Big Scott's in the house. Mr. Smith is here. Good morning. Mikey traded for a 1933 Gaudy Babe Ruth. Woo! That's a monster card right there. Max, what's going on? I think I briefly saw Max yesterday. It was so busy. I saw Max like at the very, I was digging in a bargain box, which I'll also talk about. And Max was behind at the table behind me. And I think I said hi, and that was about it. It was a busy show. Peter's in the house. Happy Monday. Michael, good morning from Ohio. Orlando, congrats to Mikey. Mark says, good morning. My Garfield show drew a very nice crowd. Baseball is in the air. Was also recognized by a dealer who is part of Hobby Evolution. Oh, that's awesome. Good guy. Don't know if he wants to be mentioned by name. That's pretty freaking cool. That is really cool. Joe Trotto says Thanksgiving was brutal. Loved it. Very graphic. The movie Thanksgiving. Mr. Smith, I need some advice. I pulled the Acuna SSP from my hobby box. The other guy's bid is at 300 plus, but mine is only 105. His was at 225 yesterday, and mine hasn't went up in 2 days. So yours is at auction. Probably what's happening is the people that are interested don't want to bid on 2 cards. So if there's only interest, so this is kind of what happens in an auction, especially if it's a super short print like this. So if there's 2 auctions going on simultaneously, you don't want to bid on both cards, because what if you win both cards? Like, you don't want to put a bid in of $200 on both and then win them both, and you're like, shit, what am I going to do with the second one? So that's why. That's most likely. The other one, maybe it was promoted higher. Maybe there could be a multitude of reasons why the other guy has high. They saw the other guy first and decided to bid on that one. So it's likely that the people that are interested, maybe that one ends sooner. I don't know when they end. If his ends before yours, the bidding's going to be on the one that ends first. The people that don't win it will then go to yours and start bidding. So that's how that's going to work. Let's see. Hall of Fame card, and also the last point to your comment, yours hasn't went up in 2 days. That's pretty common in auctions. Usually it's like six and a half days with no action. And then the last 12 hours, all of a sudden your bids start coming in. Mikey says, my card show was super busy and got recognized a bunch from chasing cardboard and interviewed by the local newspaper. Traded for one of my dream cards, the 33 Gaudy Ruth. How about that? Pretty cool. Tim, what's going on? Fellow Wisconsinite in the house. Mikey says, I also bought a 2022 Bowman First Lava Jackson Churio PSA 9. Nice. Tim says, card show Sunday in Des Moines, hoping for another big day. Nice. Mark, what's going on? Good morning. Brian, good morning. Still working on a card show down here. Fingers crossed. Mr. Smith says, mine ends before his. Does that affect anything? That's kind of bizarre then, that yours, if yours ends first. I don't know. It's just one of those quirks. There might not be a straight cut answer to that. Bill Thymus, what's up? Good morning. Sal Dougie's here. Good morning. Yeah, I am shocked by card shows. It's 2024, and we had the hobby boom 3 years ago as COVID restrictions were relaxed by April, at least here in April, and that's when the Madison Card Show began. My first show, 17 tables. I think we had 150 people through the door because I knew that because I charged admission. We only had the one room. Charged admission the second month. I think the attendance went up to 175. And then as I continued, learn more and more ways to promote the show. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. Now here I am with a potential of 175 tables this weekend, just depending on how things work out. At least 135 tables, 2 rooms, plus the mezzanine. And pretty sure last month's show brought in over 1,000 people. Just based on asking people, like, how many people, because that's the hard thing. It's like, do you know? And I've had multiple people now ask me, since it's been so busy, how many people do you think came through? It's like, well, I just got to ask other people and just kind of guesstimate because there's multiple entrances to the hotel. There's multiple rooms. And then, obviously multiple entrances to the multiple rooms. So it's not easy to track. So, but my guess would be over 1,000. And that's what the consensus has been. I never thought, like when I started the show in April of 2021 and it kept growing, it's like, okay, this is gonna end. And I did see a lull at my show in 2020, the end of 2022. November, I think I only did 105 tables, 110 tables. Was not a sellout November of 2022. And I thought December would pick up and I would be back to sellout. Not the case. I had even less tables booked in December of 2022. And I'm like, okay, it's begun. And I honestly thought, and I was telling people, I'll probably shut down the second, the first floor room because I don't think there's going to be demand for it in 2023. Not the case. January 2023 rolls around, back to a sellout. It's packed. Okay. February, same. Of course, there's kind of a lull, still sellouts through the summer months, but the crowd is down, and obviously, it's hard sometimes. It's hard sometimes to talk sense into people. Like they think it's if the crowd's down, there's it's the Daytona 500 today. We got a down crowd. No, it's just, especially in the summer, and I talked about that with a couple of people yesterday. The summer months are going to be down. Like, don't expect this type of crowd every single month. Like, this is in January, February, for the shows I've done, have always been the best of the year as far as crowds and sales. And by June, July, August, it's like, oh, what? And it's somebody said, well, it's tax refunds. But yesterday's crowd was in my crowd, 2 or a month ago in Madison, much larger than last year at this time, the year before at this time, into the COVID boom. So that's a healthy sign. But this won't last. It's going to dip, and hopefully it, we see the normal winter resurgence again. That's here locally at our, the 3 or 4 shows that I do around here. So, yeah, it was, the crowd was, insane. I didn't really, it just all of a sudden, like, it's kind of like when the days get longer, they gradually get longer, but it's just all of a sudden one day it clicks and it's like, wow, it's 5 o'clock and it's still light out. Even though it's been like every 2 minutes, we get 2 more minutes of daylight every day. You don't pick up on it until all of a sudden it's like it reaches a certain point and it's like, oh, days are getting longer. That's kind of what the crowd was like yesterday. It's like all of a sudden I did like a dealer, like people are like, I hate it when dealers leave their table. It's like, then you're not going to like my table, because I'm never at my table. And I don't care because usually, and especially yesterday, like my goal, like I didn't care about making any money yesterday. I was all about buying. I had a regular customer who had a box for him that was $120. I was happy with that. Like if I made $100 at my table, and I had 3 tables, I brought my own tables. I had 3 tables. If I made $100, I would have been happy. And I made $250 plus the $120. So I was more than happy. So at the beginning of the show, I'm like, you know what? There's good tables. Now, if there's no good tables to buy from, which that can be pretty common occurrence at shows, I'll just walk the floor. There's nothing. I'll just hang out at my table all day. But there was some good tables. So I was off in the main room. Because I was set out at the banquet hall. There's the main entrance. There's the atrium or whatever. It's not a lobby, but it's the hallway. But there were quite a few tables. The more tables that are out there, the better trafficked it is, obviously. But there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There were 16 tables out there, so it was a good spot. So then the main room has like the 100 tables, and so the guy that I actually bought bulk Bowman from about a year ago was back. I saw him, and I'm like, yes. Of course, the other early birds, James was in there. Where's James? I haven't seen him in the chat. James was there. He's like a vulture. Black Squirrel, he's a vulture. And it's like they're my competition, and we're looking for the same stuff and similar stuff. So they beat me, but I was still able to get into a box because he had multiple like $2 box. I went to the dime box and I'm like, oh shit, he's got $2 boxes. So I was pulling I pulled a stack. I don't have them with me. I pulled a stack of first Bowman Chrome Sapphires. let me just tell you about this guy's bargain box. So that was in the two, there were autos in the $2 boxes. The dime boxes, I went to the Orioles first because I got a bunch of first Bowman Jackson holidays out of his dime and quarter box a year ago. So I went to the Orioles box. There were only 2 Jackson holidays, but they were Bowman Chrome, not firsts, but in dime boxes. So there's like Ohtani and Trout refractors in dime boxes. So that's the type of stuff that's in his dime boxes. So I'm going through all of his $2 boxes. And of course, by this time, people are knowing, oh, the dime boxes are loaded. So I go through the $2 boxes. I think I came back. I think I stayed there and looked through the one box. And then I went back to my table for a second, check in, went back. And I was going back and forth for a while, dug through the dime boxes. So at one point, I'm like, hey, so early on, I'm like, hey, at the end of the show, can I buy all your dime boxes? And he's like, yeah, and you don't have to wait till the end of the show, which I should have just said, okay, I'll take them now. But I didn't want to be a dick and start packing up boxes people are looking at, because I hate it when people do that when I'm looking through boxes. I'm like, okay. So I go back and I'm like, I'm getting itchy. Like, they're going to be super cherry picked, which obviously affects the price, but I want good stuff. So he had 3 boxes that were like on the bottom that nobody had looked at yet. So I went back and I'm like, hey, like, I'm serious about buying these. So I'm going to give you $100. The ones that haven't looked at, can you set those down? Nobody's looked at them yet. Put those down below your table. And here's a down payment on everything. And he's like, deal. So 3 of the boxes, not cherry, 3 5-row boxes, not cherry picked. And then I ended up at the end of the show buying all of his dime boxes. And I mean, these are not like, I mean, a lot of the stuff I wouldn't even put in quarter boxes. It's going straight to eBay for $3, $4, $5 or more dollars. So they're loaded. So I think I'm happy because that was my goal. I think he's happy because he got rid of, so I bet there were 8 5-row boxes, 2 4-row boxes, and a couple like 3-row shoe boxes. Probably 50,000 cards total. So that was my big win. But I had a couple small wins, which I also don't have. The only thing I can show you is the vintage that it's all on my eBay store. So if you've seen my eBay store, the new listings that I put up last night, check that out. But all of a sudden, like at one point, I'm like, holy crap. Like I look around the room because I'm digging in these boxes. I'm oblivious to my surroundings. And because I took a photo at one point and then I saw Mike and John had posted on the Facebook group that a picture, and I'm like, holy shit, like that was even more crowded than what I thought. And that's the one their picture is what I put up on Twitter yesterday. Where are we at? Let's go to the chat real quick, and I'll talk more. I'll talk about another buy or a couple buys. Running Buck says spring training. We got baseball this week, man. We got baseball. I fly out March 12th. I'm about ready to put in a second rookies order for my custom cards. I was one of the dealers who sets up at my shows and was in Janesville yesterday. He's going out to Arizona. He's like, when are you going? I'm like, March 12th. He's like, he's going out Saturday, like this coming Saturday. And then I think he's flying back March 4th. And then my friend who has a house down there goes down, a few times a year. He like comes back on March 12th. And I'm like, dude, stay a couple more days. And he's like, no, my in-laws or something are coming down on the 11th. So I need to get the hell out of there. I'm like, okay, that's fair. Mikey says, do you try to buy from your dealers before the show? And I did that. The dealers seemed like they appreciated it. Yes, absolutely. Because it usually, it's slower. So like if you're doing it during the show, like you have your own tables to tend to, there's other deals. So yeah, that time before, I used to not like doing that. But now it's the way I do it. If I'm doing bulk, if I'm buying bulk, like somebody's table or, several boxes, I typically wait till the end of the show because like I said, I don't like it when somebody's trying to buy an entire table that I'm looking at. Like, it's like, hey, I want to sit here for another hour and dig through these boxes, but I get it. It's business. I get it. I don't like it. But as far as like, if you're doing trades and absolutely, I get a lot done. I'm able to get good stuff out of bargain boxes before the show, quote, officially starts. So absolutely. Mr. Smith says, I'll share the listing in Hobby Evolution. I'd appreciate some advice. Sounds good. Sports card ripping teacher says, are there a decent amount of watches on your eBay card? Talking about Mr. Smith. Everyone but the leader might be watching yours, and bidding gets hot towards the end. And that's the thing with auctions. Like, even though you don't have any bids, his could be shilled for all we know. People might just, like sports card ripping teacher, like, that's the thing with auctions. You don't know until the final hammer. The last 60 seconds, you might not have a bid on that until a minute remaining. It may go 6 days, 23 hours, and 59 minutes before a bid, and then all of a sudden there's 3 people in a bidding war and it goes for twice as much as you expected. That's how auctions go. Mark Marinello says the successful dealers have their cards priced to sell. The dealers who complain still have their cards at pandemic levels. And I think that's where we've been at this point for a while now. I can always tell the people who got in during the pandemic, they're the ones complaining about not making any sales. They don't adjust their prices. They don't get new inventory because they haven't sold their old stuff. So they keep bringing the same stuff at high prices. Like, you're not selling anything because A, you don't bring anything new, and B, it's still priced at 2022 prices. Mr. Smith says there's 45. Well, that's pretty good. You're going to be okay. You'll be okay. Dan's in the house. What's going on? He's back in Korea after his trip from the Philippines. John says a new hat. It's time. It's time for a new haircut is what it's time for. That's why I'm wearing a hat. I plan on getting a haircut. Well, I don't know if I'll get one today. We'll see. I got a lot of shipping to do, but I only wear a hat during the week if I need a haircut. And that's the point we've reached. Unicorn Cupcake says, have you ever considered doing a free raffle for something where you can get info from the people that attend and enter the raffle? Yeah. So I actually did giveaways at one of the shows, and it was a pain in the ass. It was a pain. Although now I have this stuff. I gave away like a hobby box and a couple books and some random stuff. It is a great way to acquire a contact list. Yes. But I haven't done anything with it. Like, I still have like a box of names and addresses. So I have done it. It's just, it's not a top of mind. It's just too much work that I don't want to do. I'm lazy. To put it simply, I'm lazy. Dan says, was hoping he'd wear the dirty Italia. Yeah. I thought about where I was going to put that on the other day. I'm like, oh, this is getting pretty dirty. Maybe I shouldn't put this on video. Mikey says, I have a dealer at my show who priced everything 75% more than comps and then ran a 50% off sale and complained about not making any sales at my show. You'll have that. You get all kinds. Mark says, my favorite is the MLB Network trucker hat. Yeah, I haven't worn that one in a while. I've been wearing Brussels lately. Does the other seller have a similar amount of watches? Hopefully you have a similar set of eyes. I'm co-promoting a show May 5th. Deciding whether to set up or not probably wouldn't hurt. I have mixed feelings on setting up and promoting at the same time. If you don't know, like I did set up, and I was the very first show I did set up, and I was like concerned with the balancing act. And then I realized there's really not much And I had a co-promoter, which also helped. So if you are co-promoting, at least that helps. But really, the show now, it's a well-oiled machine for the most part. Every once in a while, small little things. Usually, it's hot in here, it's cold in here, so it's a lot of trips to the main front desk. Is there any way you can turn the air off or on? So it's just little things like that. But I try, like I would prefer to set up, but it's a real pain in the ass for me. And I do bargain boxes. I would say if you're setting up with like a showcase, it's much more because I can leave my table. If you're doing bargain boxes and you don't care if somebody lifts a few cards, it's easy. If you have showcase stuff and you don't want to leave your table and you don't have anybody watching your stuff, then it would be really tricky. I personally would not set up showcases and promote the show at the same time. It would just be too much for me. Other people may be different. And you may have some help. That would obviously be helpful. Charlie's in the house. He's listing and shipping and coffee. Oh my. John says the trucker hat is a breath of fresh air compared to that beater he has on his noggin. It's not a beater. This is just the way it is. It's just a black hat. Brussels. Porter's in the house. Good morning. Zach and Porter are here. What's up? Billy Joe, where will the show be to John? Brian says, AIC, Bo's just a man in the box. Love Alice in Chains. Rip Lane Staley. John says, I'd have the boxes shut down immediately. Let's go, folks. Move on. Nothing to see here. Hands where I can see them. James says, imagine how much that guy spends on opening hobby box. I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine. I don't want to know because I know how much Bowman is. Like, man. So this guy, so going back to James, so we were at the same table. It's like all Bowman. And it's like 8 monster boxes of Bowman. And like, just think about that. Like what's it take? Like, that's gotta be a few cases at least. And cases run what, $4,000? So he's putting a chunk of change down on some Bowman. Dan says, if I bought those boxes, I'd be hovering over people at those boxes the rest of the day saying, nah, you don't want that one, right? The funny thing was, because they were dime boxes and I know that I'll get a deal. Like when I was cherry picking, I knew I would get a deal. Like, maybe I get these for 8 cents or 5 cents. And I'm pulling cards for the cards that I can resell to my customer that I'd sold a box to. And all of a sudden he's standing next to me and I'm like, shit, what do I do? So I did pull some of the goods, like some of the Aaron Judge. But then when I got to Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette, I was like, I gave him like, here you go. Save him a little coin. But it's like, damn it. This is my chance for capitalism. Max says, pretty crazy crowd yesterday. That makes 4 straight shows, all different that I have done that have been packed. Let's hope next weekend is number 5. Should be. It should be. If it's not, I'll be highly disappointed if next weekend is not a packed show in Madison, Wisconsin at the Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive. Yeah, and I've heard similar results across the country. All shows are just crazy crowded and packed. Orland Park yesterday, Victor was there, showed a picture. It was crowded. I think there were 3 or 4 shows in the Chicagoland area Saturday, and I think they were all pretty busy. So that's good. Zach says, it's too bad Bo is married, because if he were to drop this answer, just making custom baseball cards in my basement for my trip to Arizona, to the what did you do today question, he'd be a magnet. Right. What did you do? I made custom cards to get autographed at spring training. Are you 12? Dan says, if anybody wants some Japanese juicy honey, get at me. Juice. I know one of my dealers would be all up on that. You probably met John. I know Herman knows John. I saw John yesterday. John Keating knows John. John cigar box John. He's got some juicy honey in those cigar boxes. Flipping Sports Guys in the house. He says, eBay auctions, I place one bid at the 3-second mark. I win. If not, oh well. I kind of take multiple approaches to auctions. It depends on how much I want the card. If it's just a flippable card lot, I basically go in with, sometimes I put a soft high bid in. So I'll go in, say it ends in 3 days. It's almost like I'm putting a bid in so I don't forget. So say my high price is, okay, I'm not going to pay more than $50 for this. The bidding's at 10. I'll put a soft high bid in at like 35. And then when I get the notice, like it's ending, then I'll bump it up. And I'll put like my max bid of $50. If it's a card I really want, say I'm working on a rainbow, I will put in like a super max bid. Depending on like if there's not too many cards where it's like I will pay over what it's worth. I have an Earl Cunningham game used bat, which those don't come up. And most people wouldn't, like I don't want this bat in my house. But I would have paid like $200 for it. So I put a super max bid like $250, and I ended up winning it for the opening bid. I think I paid like $20 for it. But I was willing to pay over $200 for it. So I approach auctions, depending on what it is. If it's kind of if it's not like a red numbered to 5, if it's say numbered to 99 or 250, it's like, I'll put in, this is what I'm willing to pay. And I just let the auction ride. I'm not a sniper. I don't have any of the sniping tools or apps or whatever people use. I just put my bid in and let it ride. Sometimes I'll try to snipe on my own. And I know you're not as fast as just using a website or an app sniper, but there's nothing I need that bad. So Raphael says, cousin Nadia and Raphael in the house, shipping and listing and shipping. Love it. What's going on? Good morning. Porter says, get a haircut and a real job. I know, and a shave. I need a haircut and a shave. That's what I need. Dan says, I don't remember how fast my hair grew. It seems like it just grows faster. Jamie made it. What's going on? Happy Monday. Let's see. Sports card ripping teacher says, let's see a flat brim Cubs hat. Got to stay in touch with the trends of the youth. No, you won't find a flat brim hat here. That's what I don't get. This is like old man kids these days. Like I remember buying a hat and it wouldn't be curved. Like I remember I think I was in junior high and I just got a hat. I don't know what hat it was, but I just got a hat. And classmate of mine's like, dude, you gotta break that head and you gotta curve the bill. Like that was the cool thing to do back in the 90s. You gotta curve that bill. Curvier the better. And now today it's like the flat, like, oh, you gotta have a flat, you gotta, oh, what's up? Yo. It's like, no. See, that's one thing that I just can't. I'm not gonna adapt to flat bill hats. I'm not gonna leave the sticker under here. I'm not gonna wear flip-flops. And those have been like a thing. These are just like, I'm just kind of going all over the place. Flip-flops are fucking disgusting. Nobody wants to see your feet, especially if you're a grown-ass man. Your ugly-ass feet shouldn't be in public view. And put socks on when you're taking pictures with your phone or your cards. There's nothing worse than seeing laid-out cards and some guy's skanky-ass feet. Fuck. Nobody wants to see your ugly-ass feet. So those are flat brim hats, flip-flops. Not for me. John says you should be texting your event manager, not going to the front desk with issues. Front desk is there for guests. My event manager is difficult to reach. It's much easier to talk to the front desk. There's a guy that works there, and he works most shows. His name's Nick. Nick is the man. He's a huge Wisconsin Badger fan. He's a big Ron Dane fan. So he's very helpful. So I give him Ron Dane stuff when I come across it. So that's how Nick is my event manager / front desk guy. So I guess Ben, who I think kind of handles the events the day of, he's usually there. But like my person is never like the person that I work with as far as setting the rooms and contracts up is not available on weekends. Not there. Phoenixville Recreation Center. Zach says, sounds like a white collar jail. Max says, was this the guy right in front of my table? Yes. He had amazing stuff. Let's see. Flipping Sports Guy, didn't realize you were that close. Dan says, admittedly, I don't bend brims on hats I don't play ball in. When I was young, I didn't like players who didn't bend them, but now I don't bend them. So you're the opposite. John says, if you're not using a certain bidding software on eBay, then you are doing it wrong. Keep doing it wrong. I am doing it wrong. I don't need, if I have to use bidding software on eBay, I don't need the card. I don't know. No. I don't need a card bad enough to use bidding software on eBay. Like I'm a casual buyer on eBay. And if I have to go to use bidding software and sniping materials, I don't need to go that far for a card. Let's see. Dan says, boggles my mind. Some people don't realize sniping and snipe websites. Most people do it like me, and they just choose not to use them. John says, Gary Maddox broke hats in like no other human. Let's see. As a youth, we had blinders on the side with the curve of our hats. Oh, yeah. That's a good point. Never thought of that. Porter says, tell us how you really feel. The huge hat thing makes my brain hurt. Max says, this is hilarious. The only time I ever wear socks is hockey and card shows. Give me sandals and no socks all day. Nobody wants to see your ugly ass, disgusting, gross feet. The software allows you to not keep bidding items up. If you put a large bid, the price keeps increasing. You get bid up. And I'm okay with that. Merle says that's why you have to wear black socks with your white sandals or white socks with your black sandals. All my hats are huge, so they fit over my fat head. Max says, I'm good with flat brim or slightly bent, but the hick upside down U hat has got to go. Or the triangle bend. I don't like the triangle bend. This is like, to me, this is right here is the perfect curve. Flat brim only allowed on baseball players, though. Sports card ripping teacher says a guy at school will wear leather sandals, and I need to tell him that no one wants to see your man hooves. John says, again, you get into bidding wars when putting in a big bid right off the bat. I put a price in and walk away. The big hats like the Slab Strong guy wears are fucking dumb. Just tells me I don't need to waste my time with you or your product. But hey, you know what company he's with. I mean, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good gimmick. I mean, you know exactly, oh, that's Tim Slabstrong guy because he's got that goofy ass hat on. You know, people recognize my stupid ass sandwich board Cubs sign. Don't look at him. That's a you problem. You know, and I don't think I have noticed your ugly ass feet. So I try not to look at people's feet. So I don't care. But I guess here's the shitty thing. Saturday, I'm going to be like, there's fucking Max's ugly ass feet. And now I won't. Max said he always wears sandals. You're pushing, trying. It's getting close. I wish more grown men would wear socks. Try measuring a hem on a guy in bare feet. That's because I only see you at shows. Covered that. So I bought some stuff. So I talked about the dime boxes. So I ended up buying everything from that guy. I picked up, and I don't have them with me. I think my first buy of the day, Scotty P, who will be set up at my show Saturday. It's been a while. He's set up in Madison. he had a box of autos that, like, usually like, this is a box that he normally doesn't have, because usually I see his stuff. And so he's like, yeah, I just got that box, and there were a few Cubs in there. And there was an Alzolay rookie red ink heritage rookie auto. And he's like, I'd do that $5. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I'll do that. So I pulled out like two other cups. There's a Wisdom Panini rookie. So it's a Texas Rangers card, but it's a rookie auto, and it's numbered to like 50. And then an Alzolay rated rookie green, I think numbered out of 99 auto. So I got those three for $10. He's like, how about $10? I'm like, deal. So that was the first deal. So that was my, like, I got a great deal on that. And then I overpaid. And I had a guy who I've actually bought from before. And he came to my table with a box of Cubs. And there was a lot of like junk wax. And it was Sandberg and Maddox, but I have like 300 copies of everything that was in the box. And there were some autos and some color. And I'm like, what do you want for the are you looking to sell the whole box? Are you looking to just sell, so he's like, well, I was looking to sell the whole box. I'm like, okay, well, what price are you at? And this is like a 500 count box. And he goes, 400. I'm like, oof. That kind of, that blew me back. Oh, I'm not interested. And then he starts negotiating against himself. And he goes, I do 300. And I'm like, no, no. He goes, how about 200? No. And so I'm like, how about these three cards? He's like, how about everything for 100? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, there's just, I don't even think it's worth 100. Like, if you sold each card individually, you're not going to get $100 for it. And I'm like the last guy that wants to pay money for most of these cards, because I've got hundreds of copies of each. So I'm just not interested. But I picked out 3 cards and I overpaid. And I gave him an offer. Like I said, how much for these 3? And he's like, make me an offer. And normally I just say, you are the seller, you tell me. And he's like, and I'm like, I'll do $40. And they're probably worth $20. They're for my own collection. They're Cubs. There was a James Triantos Bowman Platinum Auto, which is probably a $10 card, maybe $15. There was an Alexis Hernandez Inception that's maybe $5. And there was a Mervis I think it was a first Bowman Chrome numbered card, which $10. So I significantly overpaid. But I got a great deal earlier from another dealer. I've done a deal with this guy before. He gave me a fair price the previous time. So I'm just like $40. And I'm like, shit, I probably should have said 20 or 30, because I paid double what this is worth. But sometimes you do that. It's my own collection. Like, I don't care. I do and I don't. What else did I have come to my table? I think I did a trade with a dealer who grabbed some dollar cards out of my box. It was a Alfonso Rivas auto. He had $15 on it, and I'm like, I wouldn't pay 3 for this. And he's like, yeah, I haven't looked at comps in like a year. I'm like, yeah, I don't think he's playing baseball anymore. Certainly not with the Cubs. So I looked it up, and I'm like, one sold in November for like $7 or $8. So we did basically a trade like that, though. I don't care. Like, take $15 worth of cards. I'll give you $15 trade value out of these boxes. What else? Somebody who follows me on Twitter gave me a card of his son. It's a Topps custom card. I'm like, yeah, there's a Cubs logo. I'll count this. And his son's name is Nico. And I'm like, so I got to ask, is your son named after Nico Horner? And he says, no, but my daughter, her favorite player is now Nico Horner because of her brother's name. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. So she collects Nico Horner cards. I'm like, that's pretty cool. So that was cool. Nico card of his son. I think I did another trade. 54. Somebody traded me a 54 Bowman Bill Serena. That might have been Weston. I met Weston. Was that Weston? I think that was Weston. I know him from the Dollar Box show. He's always in the Dollar Box chat. So I met him for the first time. What else? I thought there was one other pickup for Cubs. Maybe not. So I'll tell you about my purchase, which ended up being a big surprise. And this is one of those purchases where it's like, I don't know if I really want to buy this stuff. But also, when you're in a buying mood, you tend to overpay for Cubs cards. You tend to buy stuff that normally you wouldn't buy. But this one worked out. Let's go to the chat real quick. Let's see. Where are we at? John says, I made multiple offers to you this morning, then realized eBay isn't the way to go. Maybe we can work out a deal. eBay probably will be the best way to go. If you want anything from my store, eBay will be the best way. And if I know it's you, I will accept the offers. Otherwise, it's a giant pain for me to balance. Like I can't, this is why I only sell on eBay. And then like I have to do my sales on YouTube in a limited, like I can't do what I did 2 weeks ago. Eventually I might do another sale, but that's pretty easy. But also like I couldn't do stack sales because it took I think it took an hour and everything was boxed up. Like everything was boxed up, ready to ship. And it still took me an hour to like print labels, make sure I was, I had the right names, payment and all that. And on eBay, that takes me like 15 minutes. So yeah, eBay would be the best way to go. Just hit me up and let me know. And like the fees don't bother. Like the fees don't bother me. Max says, you're lucky I didn't leave my table. I wanted to look at those boxes, but couldn't get there because I was alone. And see, that's what I like about the stuff that I take to shows is that I can just walk away. It's like if somebody steals a dollar card or a dime card, but you have stuff that you don't want stolen. TD Sports Cards, what's up? Good morning. Max says, I'm also like John, leave one bid and walk unless it's a tougher pull. Then I will likely come back with a minute left and just keep going. I way overpaid for certain cards, but I don't regret. Either of 1 or of 5 or barely pops up. Yeah, that's like I'll overpay for like a superfractor or a red number to 5, rare items. Anthony, what's going on? Brian Bourne, what's up? Heading on a work trip. Check in with you all Thursday. TD Sports Card, Rivas got picked up by the Cardinals 3 weeks ago. There you go. He's now with the Cardinals. Merle says, how do you advertise your eBay store at the card shows? And this is a big faux pas. I don't. And I had my wife do some new signage for the Madison Card Show over the winter. It still is, but a couple months ago. And I was going to do I want to get like a table skirt and just some signage for my eBay store. I've got some like tripods that I could just print like with a QR code, like here, visit my eBay store, 99-cent cards, a whole bunch of this crap can be found. So I don't advertise my eBay store. I put Hobby Evolution business cards out. I put Madison Card Show cards out. People will ask what else do you have? And I'm like, I've got an eBay store. Here's, 99centcards.com. But I don't do it. I don't market my eBay store at all, really, which is bad business for Bo. TD Sports Cards, Liam Hendricks just got 2-year, $10 million deal, possible another $20 million in incentives plus a 3rd-year option. My prediction of Cody Bellinger signing before Monday morning did not come to fruition. So here we are. Most of Boris's clients haven't signed. I think Matt Chapman's still a free agent, or did he sign with somebody? Blake Snell is still a free agent. I think there's like 4 Boris clients that are still unsigned. John says it's harder to accept 15 to 20 offers than it is to work out one price for 15 to 20 items. It's not that. It's the First off, it's pulling it all off of eBay. And then it's doing the different payment method, and then it's the accounting behind that, because then I have to track it on PayPal. With eBay for tax implications, I just print the reports. But when I get money from PayPal and Venmo, I have to have a separate spreadsheet. So it's more back end stuff that's a giant pain in the ass. And it's not something you can teach me. It's not something, because it's just the way my brain works, and I don't want to deal with all of that other stuff. Merle says you had a former card show sponsor work on new advertising for you. I did. Yeah, I did. And I told her, I'm like, you can be a sponsor. And she's like, no. And I'm like, it got you a couple really good sales. Shane, good morning. He's a little late. We welcome tardiness on Hobby Evolution. TD Sports Cards to the Red Sox. Cooter says Gixon is well worth the $6 annual subscription. I use it to bid once in the last 4 seconds of any auction I bid on. Takes emotion of urgency out of it and saves big bucks. John says you should brand everything like John Newman does. Hire skywriters, fridge magnets, ice sculptures, tramp stamps. Put the brand everywhere. I like it. Pulling it off eBay simply means checking the boxes after querying 1967. Then you just remove listing. You're deflecting. It's a pain in the. I have 386 plus items to ship right now. I shouldn't even be on Hobby Evolution. I should be shipping. John is right. You can write off the tramp stamp on your taxes. There you go. Much easier than number 6 envelopes. That's another thing that we were talking about. Number 6 envelopes. It's just not part of my efficiency. Brian says buy them all, and Bo can refund the difference. Max says F. Sports card ripping teacher says I have one of those Cody Bellinger tins from a couple years ago. Do you think ripping that will be a sign for him to sign? They sweetened the deal. Somebody offered him. I think his wife is friends with like the Lou Malnati's owner's wife or something, and so they offered the Bellingers free Lou Malnati's for life. Like, come on, take it, man. I'd take that deal without the money. Okay, maybe I'd need a little bit of money and pizza. Cooter ain't wrong. Shane says, I'm sure this was already talked about, but I just wanted to say again, huge congratulations to Mikey on his awesome first show. Sounds like all the hard work paid off. Absolutely. And he got some good stuff. Is it envelopes or envelopes? Asking for, I say envelopes. So it's not envelopes. I also don't say envelope. I say E-N. I basically say it how it's spelled. Envelope. Envelope. E-N-V-E-L-E-P-O-E-S. Envelope. So that's what I'm curious. So do you say envelope? Do you say envelope? Or do you say envelope? So do you say E-envelope, I-envelope, O-envelope? So John says envelope and envelope are the same. So I don't see that. So envelope to me is I-N. Envelope is E-N. N, in, on. All 3 different words with different pronunciations. I say envelope. John is envelope, which is wrong. There we go. Bellinger and the Illuminati. Sports card ripping teacher says, I did see that David Kaplan's wife is a big exec. There it is. Yeah, David Kaplan's wife is an executive for Lou Malnati. There you go. Thank you, sports card ripping teacher. Merle says, I've been writing a simple thank you with every sale. I have a rough draft on some thank you business cards to throw in with the orders. Any recommendations on thank you cards from anyone? Merle also calls them envelopes. John says he pronounces it wrong. TD says I say send it. Finally, Bo pronounced a word correctly. Coupon, Rollo, I have been saying sepia since I've been corrected on sepia. Sepia, I like sepia better than sepia. Sepia, I'm always going to call it coupon. And I'm probably always going to call it Rollo. Max says both on envelope. Orlando's also team envelope. Wow, there's more envelopes than envelopes. Philly Joe says N-E-N. What's the difference? A letter and a pronunciation. Envelope, envelope. Two completely different pronunciations. N and in. How do you say in? In. Like in. I-N or I-N-N. The in. In. N is E-N. N. N. If you spell tin and 10, they're two completely different pronunciations. In, N. 10, tin. That's envelope and envelope. They're two completely different. You guys are wrong. In is not E-N. In is I-N. In. Letter holder. Thoughts on rock and back to rocking the heel attack. I love this story. I was actually talking to he wasn't a dealer yesterday, but he sets up at shows. He's a big wrestling, is diehard. Like he is to wrestling what I am to the Cubs. Like I go to Cubs convention, I go to spring training, I go to game. That's what he does for wrestling. He goes to WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, WrestleCon, that stuff. So we were talking. I love this storyline. Like, and he was kind of like he gets even further into the weeds with like potential storylines, like how they're going to play this out. And I'm like, ooh, I like it. Pizza stores have executives, of course. Don't waste the time on thank yous. Get a business card that says that, or just don't bother. Just like sending extra cards. Disagree with that. Shane is laughing. John has intercourse as opposed to intercourse. I'm so glad I made it for this. This is gold. Jamie says we all going to school this morning. Little English class. This has got to be a poll on Twitter. Max says I think we have to go back to the alphabet, not just English class. There you go. Cooter buys envelopes, but puts the card in an envelope. Abbreviate it to number 7s. Do you have an any or an outie? I'm an innie. Innie, not any. I have an innie. I-N-N-Y. Because it's an innie, because it's in. It's not N, it's in. Let's see. Disagree, Dan. Just going to have to disagree on that one. N is pronounced the same as in. Where are you getting in equals in? In. In. How is this? I don't know how this is so difficult for you guys. In. Merle says I also enclose extra cards with the orders too. N. He encloses. Or is it English class? LMNOP. LMNOP. No, it's in OP. This is the correct one. In. Dan thinks outies are gross. They are kind of weird. Let's see. Max says I have both and it's not the good way. Sports card ripping teacher says English language is tricky. There are not very many good phonics programs out there. En fuego. Oh shoot! Now we're escaping the English language. Maybe Dan is talking about the Southern Korean dialect version. I think Bo is just trolling now with the N. I've never heard someone do the alphabet and say LMNOP, LMNOP, LMNOP. If I say it fast, I probably do say N. LMNOP, LMNOP, LMNOP. But I also say, yeah. This is why I think English class is bullshit. Yeah. If we're having this type of discussion over letters and pronunciations, the English language is bullshit. Let's talk cards again, because I have another purchase that I made. I fucking hated English class. Dropped me some F-bombs. Now, F is EF, not IF. See? Not every letter is the same. Back to cards, though. So I had a card. I had a couple guys with a milk crate of boxes of cards. And they look at my stuff and they're like, "You buy?" And I'm like, "Maybe." So I'm like, "What do you got?" And so I'm like, "Oh, here we go. 80s and 90s. Oh boy." So they're like, "It's all sorted by player." So each bot, like there's a 900 count box on top, all Steve Young cards. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, Steve Young, like I can, like, at least that's saleable or sellable. I like to say sellable. Let's not get into that. Let's not get into any more of that. Which I think I can sell the Steve Young. Okay. So I'm going through and it's like Curtis Martin and Joey Galloway and Marshall Falk, Edgerrin James. Then there's a box of Emmitt Smith. I'm like, oh, okay. So I open it. It's like a 400 or 500 count box. I'm like, okay. They have no idea what they want for it. So I'm like, just throw a number out. And I'm like, you tell me what you want for it. And we'll go from there. So I think it was one guy, and it's his buddy is like into Pokemon, doesn't know sports cards. So he's like, just give him a number. Give him a number. And so I'm going through the boxes and I'm like, it's stuff that I don't like. I'm going to have to, basically the dealer talk. Oh, I'm going to have to sit on it, which is true. We're going to have to sit on it. I'm like, I just don't know. So I'm like, if you had baseball, like I would be much more inclined. Although I do sell the football player lots faster than baseball player lots on eBay. Shane, my buddy Shane, on Twitter, like I think he sent a message to me about it. And he like broke down his player lot sales like by sport, and it pretty much matches. I only do baseball, basketball, football, but mine basically mirrored baseball or basketball sells the best, followed by football, followed by baseball. And he's like, yeah, I got another milk crate in the car. He's like, I think there's at least a couple baseball boxes. I'm like, okay. So he brings in the second box, and one of the guys opens it up, and he's like, there's some non-sport, like there's some wrestling cards in there. There's some like Mortal Kombat. There's some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm like, hey, now we're talking. There's this. I've never seen this before. I didn't know this existed. It's like a Sportflix card, but it's not Sportflix. Jake the Snake Roberts. It's from 1990. It doesn't even have, it's from Hasbro. I think this might have came in a like a Hasbro figure pack, like with a toy. There's only like 2 on eBay, so I put it up for like $15 or best offer. It's just Hasbro lenticular, so that's what the other listings were. I'm like, okay, I just roll with that. So basically, I was basing my purchase on and I didn't even look through all the boxes. I just looked at, there were a few unmarked boxes. There was a box that says rookies, so I look in and it's like Tim Couch. Like just garbage. I'm like, okay. So I'm basically buying this for the Emmitt Smith and the Steve Young. And then, there's a Lawrence Taylor box. Some of the other stuff is like a bonus. So they came down to 100. They said they would do $100 per milk crate. First time I've ever paid per milk crate. I paid for cards by the pound, paid for cards by the box, by the card, but never by the milk crate until yesterday. So I'm like, I would do $150 for the 2 milk crates. They're like, deal. I'm like, shit, I should have said 100 for 2 milk crates. So I did 150. And Bargain Boxers entered the chat, and I have something to follow up on your comment here. It's not all unicorns and rainbows with card shows, because I've got a quick story on that. So I get home, and I never found the bait. Like I opened a couple boxes after the deal, and I didn't find any baseball until I got home. So I had the milk crates, and I pulled out some of the boxes, and I start going through. I wanted to look at the non-sport box to see what was all in there. There was a box marked vintage, and it was garbage. It was like 84 Topps football, which is, there was some 79 Topps football in there, and they were in good condition. So, I can put those on eBay. And then there were 2 unmarked boxes, which had baseball. The first box I opened up had a bunch of Sammy Sosa rookies. But there was a Ken Griffey Jr. rated rookie. So I'm like, hey, this is a nice surprise. And then there was a couple other, like, there was like a 56 Topps Chuck Tanner. There were a couple 60s Topps cards in there. Then the second box, right on top, and they were all in top loaders, was a Harmon Killebrew 68 Topps also. I'm like, oh, now we're talking. So again, a lot of this stuff's in my eBay store. 67 Topps Red Sox rookie stars, Reggie Smith and Mike Andrews. 67 Topps Al Kaline. I actually had this card just an absolute beater as a kid. So it's like, oh man, I remember that might have been my first card from the 60s. Boog Powell. They're off center. The corners are, kind of dinged. This Frank Robinson, I think you can see the crease there at the bottom. A couple small creases in some. This Jerry May is pretty beat up. You can see the creases in the middle. Here's a 68 Harmon Killebrew with number 23 down in the corner written. Cepeda from 67. These are all in my eBay store right now. Gary Geiger, which I think is a semi-high number. This I'm like, oh, it's just a common. I didn't realize this was a high number. Jerry Buchek. I don't know how to pronounce. Here's the Griffey rated rookie. So basically, this box of baseball is probably worth $150, maybe a little less. Eddie Matthews, 68 with the Tigers. I think that's got a little slight crease in it. Just this random Khalil Green numbered out of 70. Roger Maris from 67. Here's the Killebrew. It's in pretty nice condition. Again, it looks like it's off center quite a bit. Some leader cards, 72 leaders with Hank Aaron. Here's a 70 Topps home run leaders with McCovey, Aaron, and Lee May. Some creases there at the bottom. Here's a Willie Stargell from 67. 64 batting leaders. This is a sweet card. Hank Aaron, Roberto Clemente. And this is actually in pretty good shape. Corners are better than I thought. Slightly off center. That's actually in really nice condition. Here's a 63 home run leaders. I put this one on Twitter. Willie Mays and Hank Aaron, Cepeda and McCovey. Look at all those Giants. Eddie Matthews, 67 Topps Eddie Matthews. 68 Topps Frank Robinson. Yaz. 67 Topps. And a couple more. Joe Morgan. 68 All-Star. And how about that? Hank Aaron. So that was a very pleasant surprise. I think I went through all the unmarked boxes. I still have a bunch of the stuff from those milk crates in the back seat. I assume that's going to be the best of the bunch. Who knows? The 90s stuff, maybe there's some nice 90s inserts. I know Emmitt Smith has some. I had bought a box and there was an Emmitt Smith that I'm like, oh, this is probably a $2 insert, ends up selling for $200. So I know there's some 90s inserts that are highly sought after and good. So maybe there's something like that in there, but even, that was bonus. Like I paid the $150 based on the Emmitt Smith and Steve Young, with the other stuff as just kind of filler. So this is just, now that stuff becomes the gravy and this is the good stuff, obviously. So I've got some fun stuff to go through. Those cards that I showed off are already in my eBay store. Offers are on at regular price. You can get 25% off if you buy 7 or more items. I'll have a bunch of Bowman. I don't know what I'll get to this week because of the Madison Card Show and just catching up from shipping from the last couple days. So there you go. But I do hope to, maybe tonight I'll go through, I definitely want to go through the uncherry picked boxes that I bought yesterday and maybe show off what I found tomorrow morning. This Saturday, it's been scrolling at the bottom of your screen, the Madison Card Show, John Nolan Drive at the Sheraton Hotel, 135 tables minimum. If I'm able to secure the third room, that number will grow to close to 175. And 3 rooms, 2 floors, plus the mezzanine. So going to be hopefully a good show. I know we were missing a few. We were missing some of the really good bargain box dealers last month. But those guys and more will be back. Jeff, who I know Zach and Porter he's one of their favorite dealers. He'll be set up again. Dell will be back. 5-star cards will be back. And I bought some stuff from 5-star. I bought some dollar cards from them. Who else is back? JR should be back. East Coast Tom will have bargain boxes. He'll be up normally where I am. Bronco's going to be back set up. So this Saturday, John Nolan Drive at the Sheraton Hotel. Before we leave you this morning, let's take, I've got that Joliet story to tell. Let's see. Where are we at? Okay. I'm not going to get into the sale. Let's see. Where are we at? Let's see. Imagine a milk crate at a card show in Wisconsin, right? Probably see one almost every show. Let's see. Let's talk Mike Fontenot and Ryan Theriot careers. Right. You want to talk about pronunciations? Where we at? Dan can't stand people using paid with the Y instead of PAID. Let's see. Where are we at? Okay. We're still talking English. Bargain Boxer was in Joliet this week. And so I wasn't going to say anything, but Bargain Boxer throws in a comment here about a horrible show. Don't ever go overpriced pandemic pricing. Not only that, because I have something to add on, and I don't know who put this show on. I don't know anything about it, but I received a text message from a friend of mine who went to this show on Saturday, and it wasn't the Bargain Boxers, somebody else. And like just some small things that it's like, that's just probably not cool. So he has, my friend has a 3 or 4-year-old, and they charged the 3 or 4-year-old admission. So whatever the admission was, say it was $1, they charged $2 admission, which is like, it's just kind of an eye roll. Like, it's not like, it's just, I think it's bad business charging little kids. Like if they're like 12 or 13 carrying around a Pelican case, yeah, take their $1. But if it's a freaking 3-year-old, like, come on. They were also charging readmission. So if you left and came back in, so if you bought a bargain box and I don't want to carry this 5-row around with me, I want to take it to my car, they were charging readmission. That's what he said. I believe him. But it's like, that's just, come on, for $1. Or I don't know what the admission was. Maybe it was $2. Maybe it was $5. I don't know. But so that was, I did hear that. A friend of mine texted me on Saturday. And he's like, so I went to this show and this is what I'm like, oh, that's stupid. And then Bargain Boxer tells us about the inflated pricing at the show. Let's see. John is not sure why he's fixated on him today. Let's see. John says we're still paying pandemic food pricing. Why can't we pay pandemic card prices? Unicorn Cupcake says those milk crates are worth about $5 each. Well, hey, I got the milk crates came with the deal. Let's see. Shane says if cards were at pandemic prices, that would be great for me since I only sell and don't collect. Yeah, I mean, well, that would be a double-edged sword because I still buy. Obviously. It is a double-edged sword because even if you sell, like you have to buy new inventory. Although I would have to buy if I was selling like the pandemic, I would have to buy a lot less because I could sell a lot of the shit that I have that doesn't sell now. John says the milk crates come with a $200 fine. Be ironic if Bo got popped for that. It's a setup. It's a setup. Bargain Boxer hates pandemic prices. Johnny M, good morning. Picked up more Walmart envelopes yesterday. Was worried when I first started using them, but haven't had any issues yet. John says, the more you maul those 67s, the less my offers are going to be. But it would make for a good story. Just put the 67s in a number 10 and remove the listings. I'll give you the 2 milk crates. Okay, I will remove the 6. John, just for you, I will remove the 67s. I'll give you 2 milk crates for the cards. Serial numbers removed. No NASCAR in the milk crates. No. There was a dealer who had some racing stuff. Not all NASCAR. There was some like, I don't know, Indy. They were like junk set. They were like sets. I mean, I think they're junk. You would probably also think they were junk. They were like, small sets from like the 90s. I should have snapped a picture and sent it to you. Merle says there should have been at least some Indy 500 cards in the milk crate. Oh, you know what? Now that you mention it, the non-sport box, there might have been a couple there might have been a couple racing cards. There might have been just 3 or 4 singles in there. Shane went through all my inventory that I don't have on eBay and took out all the football and sorted them into team lots. Going to try this lot thing and see how it goes. Unicorn Cupcake, 3rd room. It's either 3rd room or I'm going to have some unhappy people when I tell them they can't set up because I oversold again. Johnny M says, how do you say it in Spanish since that's taking over anyway? Orlando says, congrats on your show success. Thank you. Jeff's Card Journey, what's up? Teeth optional when you go to Joliet. I haven't been to Joliet I used to drive because I grew up on I-80. So when I went to Chicago growing up, I would go I-80 and then take 55 up from Joliet. We usually would stop in Morris, though, at like the truck stop. There was like a, truck stop restaurant. I remember stopping there a couple times. Just like once you get out of the sprawling suburbs and you get to Morris. And I remember stopping in actually, no, I did broadcast a high school basketball game at one of the campuses, because I think Joliet High School is split into East and West, right? I think. So I did broadcast a game at one of those high schools. And I remember when I was with Western on the road, one of our bus trips to maybe Michigan, we stopped in Joliet at Subway. And I think we stopped in Joliet because one of our players was from Joliet. That's my only time in Joliet. So I can't confirm or deny the teeth part. Max says you can't be serious. I don't know what that's in regards to. Shane says a readmission. Oh, maybe that's what it'd be. A readmission. That's F-bomb crazy. Yes, it is. A readmission fee. Uncle Rich says those are 2 things I would never do. Charge a young kid is ludicrous, and that is also stupid for readmission. That's what I thought. Bargain Boxer confirms readmission was a real thing. There you go. So that was, my friend wasn't making up stories. So it was $1 even for a 3-year-old and you were charged readmission. That's bullshit. So if the bathrooms are outside of the card show, you're going to readmit me for taking a crap. I guess so. The only show that should charge admission is a multi-day or benefiting a charity, but even then, meh. And see, that's kind of my thought process, but locally here in Wisconsin, like admission's not really a thing in Wisconsin. Like on the East Coast, and I know there's some East Coasters here, especially like New York, like there'll be $5 and $10 admission fees for a 40-table one-day show. And it's like, what? You paid $5 to get into a 40-table show? That's crazy. Merle asks, how was Mikey's show? He mentioned it in the Hobby Evolution Facebook group. Sounded like it was a huge success. They had, I think, 135 tables at his show on Saturday. Max says charging a 3-year-old and readmission is a swift way to not having a show anymore. Yes, it is. They may not learn it this time, but the second time they do a show and they realize, where are all the people? We can't do this anymore. Bargain Boxer says, I've said you were going to be at 200 tables in Madison. I'll die on the hill. You're going to have to make it happen. I could make, if I had the space, I could make it happen. Right. I just don't have the space. There are other venues that do have the space, but they're just stupid expensive. So maybe someday. Cooter says, my local shows give you a wristband that is good for both days. Oh, that's a good idea. John says, I had a hotel employee show me how to use a bidet. See, I know how to pronounce bidet in Joliet. See, I didn't think there would be a bidet in Joliet. Of all places where you would have a bidet instructions, Joliet wouldn't be on that list of where would you find a bidet. Very strange moment in my life. Yeah, I can see why. Bargain Boxer, what's a bidet? Shane says a toilet that squirts your hole so you don't have to wipe. See, I wouldn't like bidets just don't appeal to me. I had a coworker that had a bidet. She's also European, so that makes sense. That all adds up. John says, never mind, it was Rockford. Okay, even more. Like I'm even more flabbergasted that happened in Rockford. At least Joliet, you're kind of close to Chicago. Rockford, you're kind of out in the boonies. The rest of the story I remember vividly. Let's see. Rich says, I do a card show for a nonprofit and we never have charged readmission. No, that's just silly. Cooter says, I only know of Joliet because of Jake and Elwood. Elwood had to pick up Jake to go see the Penguin. Yeah. Uncle Jack spent some time in Joliet, the same place that Jake spent. Brian says, I charged a kid at my first and only show, but I was making card art. I felt it was warranted. Well, you charged him for the card, right? Like not admission to the show. Like charging kids for cards, like, yeah, that's okay. But for a card show, admission is ridiculous. Good morning, Neil. Raleigh show is $5 a day or $8 for the weekend. And that's okay because that's a multi-day show. Like multi-day shows I would be okay with. $1 admission, like I think is fine. $1 admission is fine. It's a great way to count heads. I wish I could charge $1 admission, not for the money, but just so I have an idea of how many people are in the room. John says, Philly show is a real show that is worthy of admission. Rich says, in fact, if it wasn't for increased security costs, I'd still be at $1 suggested donation. Unicorn Cupcake says $1 admission is my max other than the National. Yeah, I'll gladly pay in the past for the Chicago Sports Spectacular, but after I went in just talking to dealers and how much they've increased table prices at that show, it's like, for a guy like me, what I buy, it's just not worth it. It's, $12 or $15 to walk in. It's $15 to park. Tolls suck. So it's just like, just parking at admission alone is $30. And then when they've raised the table prices so much, it's not feasible for bargain box dealers, which is what I go for. I bought 3 cards in November and in a couple boxes that I only bought because I didn't buy anything else. It's like, I can't spend the entire day here. I could, but I chose not to. Max says, I think admission in general, if it's not a big show, is a sure way to die. Monster shows, different story. Uncle Rich says, Dallas Card Show, worth the admission. Max says, DCS, towing a thin line. Bargain Boxer says, I've paid $5 at the Raleigh show. Merle says, admission in Madison should be a bag of cheese curds. I'd be all about that. Swimming some cheese curds. Cooter says, paying $10 parking at the Dallas show pisses me off. Yeah, parking sucks. Paying for parking sucks. I guess parking does suck too. Let's see. Joliet can be a rough place unless you know one of the Rudy Rudiger? The Notre Dame Rudy. Jamie says, how don't you wipe the water off your ass? I don't know. Jeff's Car Journey, former Statesville prison located in Joliet. Yep, that's where Uncle Jack spent some time. Jamie says, problematic, right? Bargain Boxer says, I hate paying $25 for the spectacular cards are overpriced and they charge national cost per table. I agree. John says, when the Marriott started charging for parking at the Dallas Card Show, I had to rethink my strategy. Unicorn Cupcake says, I don't think I'd like a wet ass either. No, me neither. If you're willing to work. If you're willing to work, there are places with free parking across the street from the Dallas Card Show. There you go. How about this? 90 viewers right now. Holy cow, talking about parking and how to pronounce envelope. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow morning, hopefully I'll show off some more of the goodies that I picked up at the Janesville Card Show. Great show. Made more than twice in sales than I expected. Went in with a buying mentality and did well on that side of the table as well. Next show, Saturday, Madison, Wisconsin. John Nolan Drive. I keep saying John Nolan Drive before Sheraton Hotel. Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive this Saturday. Hey, by the way, I got to keep it going this morning. By the way, did we talk about this? Bratfest has announced their lineup. So I did get confirmation. I don't have a signed contract yet, so I'm not going to, I'll tell you here, but I won't advertise it. But it looks like the April, May, June dates for the Madison Card Show will be April 20th, 420, man. 420, April 20th, May 20. Oh, maybe it's not Brat. Shit, is it not Bratfest weekend? Let me double check the calendar here. Yes, it is. Okay. The last Saturday in May, which is Memorial Day weekend and Bratfest. May 25th. May 25th. Bratfest and the Madison Card Show. The Village People will be performing at Bratfest this year. They will be on Friday night. There's some rock bands on Friday as well. Boba Flex and Tantric, which I love. Tantric had, was it Breakdown was their big hit? I would consider Tantric butt rock. Tantric. It doesn't even have their Breakdown, I think. Looks like they must have a new album out there because I've never heard of those songs. Music. Saturday. So after the card show, you can go see Quiet Riot. Yes. Quiet Riot playing Bratfest. Saturday night. So come out to the Madison Card Show at the Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive. After the show, walk across John Nolan Drive to Bratfest, which is right across the street, and see Quiet Riot. And if you stay Sunday, you can see Neil McCoy. So that's Village People, Neil McCoy, and Quiet Riot at Bratfest, Saturday, May 25th. And that's the Saturday of the Madison Card Show. All right. So, yes, we talked about this at the beginning. No mail today. It's President's Day. We have discussed the VP being at Bratfest before. Victor Willis was a legit good lead singer. Village People. Okay, we did talk about that. The best song Village People have is YMCA. The rest of them, not so much. May 25th, Madison Card Show. Judging how Scotties think about Rapinoe, the Village people ought to go over well. Come on, feel the noise. Well, if that ain't a great sell, I don't know what is. Bratfest, beers, brats, cards, and Village people. Memorial Day weekend. So there you go. That's what we'll end on today. Uncle Rich says, I actually like San Francisco better as a song by the Village people. President's Day brings a big crowd to Hobby Evolution. Yeah, well, it's a holiday. So our friends at the post office might be tuning in live. Probably no school. Max says, John, Wisconsin is very, very split politically. Southern half of the state would drink her bath water. Madison is much different than much of the rest of Wisconsin. June date, I won't have June until, yes, I did announce. Yes, I did get June date. June is going to be the 29th. So April 20th, May 25th, and I believe June 29th, the last Saturday in June. So I'm trying to keep it the last Saturday of each month. And it just kind of depends on, they do weddings at the Sheraton. So I'm at that mercy. So April 20th, May 25th, June 29th, and then July, August, September. I'll get those dates probably in April or May. So there you go. Contracts aren't signed, so those aren't official yet. But they did confirm with me last week that those dates are available. So should be good to go. Should get those contracts today. Max, thank you. Thank you, sir. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Come see me this Saturday at the Madison Card Show. I won't be set up, but I will be there, obviously. We'll be back live tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central. See you then.